when I joined this company, I certainly never thought that I'd just be able to tell my chat agent that, hey, I want to build this ETL pipeline, I want these sources, here's my connections, do these transformations, maybe filter out this data, combine all of this, and put it into this destination database.
Hello, hi, this is Ayesha Amjad, and I'm the AI Product Strategist at Astera. And today our topic of discussion is Agentic Data Management. What is Agentic Data Management and how is Astera making use of it? That is exactly what I'm going to discuss with my colleagues today.
Hello, I'm Hasha. I'm an AI Product Specialist here at Astera.
Hi, I'm Farhan. I'm a Senior Solutions Engineer at Astera.
Alright guys, so we have been having this discussion about AI agents, right? AI agents, we've been building a lot of AI agents, even the platform itself, we've been on this for quite some time. And over the time, we realized that, these AI agents can be very helpful within our own stack, because we have customers and as well as the new prospects that are coming in, and with the way the world and people are now interacting with the tools, that is changing, that is evolving, in fact, right? So we've been discussing about AI agents specifically in the data management domain, right? A lot of our customers are using our tools, who have been using our tools for decades. They are expecting that since we are working on the AI agents, we bring something of that intelligence within our existing framework as well. And we're seeing that the world is evolving in the way they interact with the present software. So you look at almost all the tools that have been around or that are for some time or that are newly emergent, all of those now have a primary mode of interaction via a chat window, via some kind of intelligent interface, right? And we have been wanting to bring the same idea within our framework as well, that if a user is interacting with any of our data management product, be it the unstructured management or unstructured data extraction, be it the data modeling part, be it the data preparation part, these workflows, how can we make it in a way that they are able to interact with our product via that chat framework, of course, while keeping the element of UI interaction alive at the same time, that hey, if they want to of course use the toolbox and drag and drop functionality, they should be able to do that as well. But the focus has slightly shifted in terms of UI, that now we're preferring and we're trying to make that chat as one of the central focuses of that communication. And so I guess that's our main topic for today, how AI agents are helpful when it comes to data management and data management products. So I think we can start with the report miner product first, the unstructured data extraction part. So one of the things with unstructured data extraction is that, and I'm sure you guys have used that product as well. We have a lot of customers. In fact, most of our customers at the moment are using that product. One of the things with that product is that I have seen a hesitance. There's that technical wall. That's what I've always felt, because a lot of our users have to, even within the company, a lot of our people have to understand different terminologies, that what is a data region, how do you select a pattern, how do you formulate that pattern, what are the data fields, how do you add, and different types of data regions are involved in that as well. So what we wanted to, and over the years we've also worked on technologies like auto generating layout, auto create fields, auto create tables, these kind of functionalities. But even to get to that functionality, you still need to have some idea around how these regions and how these terminologies works, basically, right? And so now what we're trying to do is that when a user opens, and sometimes he does not even need to open that report model, all he has to say that, hey, I have this document, I want to extract data from it, can you help me with it? And that is a click, or that is the trigger for that agent to open the report model for them, load the file, and then as a starting point, just create a simple layout on it, because that would be the start of the conversation, right? And that's how we have tried to integrate the concept of agents in the unstructured data management tool, so that it's easier for the users to interact with it. And we brought the same kind of ideology in data prep.
So we realized that a lot of our customers, when they were working with data preparation, some of them did not have the relevant expertise. Sometimes they weren't sure how they were supposed to process their data, and even we had this whole functionality now built in that these agents can even sort through your documents, so they can see that, hey, this is like a financial document, I'm supposed to use the XYZ template to extract data from it, or this is like a purchase order or something other than that. And based on that, based on the different source of data you're extracting, you need different data processing techniques. There could be different validation errors. You need to clean it in some manner. Let's say you need to convert phone numbers to a certain other format.
Right.
So we were seeing that a lot of our customers, they wanted that functionality and they wanted it to be quick. So instead of making everything manually, going through all of it, they need a suggestion that, hey, how can I quickly process this data, make it better? How can I standardize it to maybe use in a data warehouse or something like that? And how can I do this in a much faster and more efficient manner? So when we were building the data preparation agent, that was one consideration we had. And I even ran a few experiments. I gave it like a few books on like data preparation, and I taught it that, hey, when you're preparing data, you have this knowledge base, you have these ideas of how good clean data is supposed to look like, and these were based on like good engineering principles, things like that. And using that, the agent was actually able to suggest me that, hey, I'm seeing these issues in your data, you can fix these. But let's say you don't want to expose your data to the LLM. There's also a provision for that. It will just use like the fields and the metadata, and based on that you could say that, hey, I'm seeing this issue, can you solve this for me? In that scenario, the agent doesn't technically access your data, but you're just telling it issues you're seeing, and it generally knows how to fix those issues. And so it can prepare your data for you. It can give you like the entire recipes. You could automate those recipes. So again, whenever you're seeing that a certain company is sending you a purchase order, so using that, you know, you need to run a certain data preparation flow, and then you can just execute that.
I mean, it's a natural flow, right? From unstructured data to data preparation. It's a very natural flow. And we've also discussed that how, you know, in addition to sending the metadata, you can also send a profile of that data, right? So the profile includes the number of null values, you know, the distinct counts, duplicate counts, all these kind of mean, variances, and, you know, outliers kind of profile. So even that itself, you're not sending really the data, right? You're sending the profile of the data. That alone indicates what kind of issues your data has, and hence data preparation can be helped with efficient, much more. And the LLM itself knows, right, what data preparation is. So I guess what we are trying to do, LLM understands unstructured extraction, LLM understands data preparation. What we are trying to do here is just make use of that, utilize that to the best of its capability, and then just provide a good UI along with it. And I think please continue. So what I was trying to say is that now from data preparation, another module that comes into play is a slightly more trickier module, I would say, and a more nuanced one, and that's where the data model aspect comes into play, right? How do we transition? How do we make sure, or basically have that synergy of the AI agents with creating the data models?
Right. So data models have everything to do with metadata. It's about the structure of your data, how the different tables are connected to each other, and that, you know, you need to understand what the primary keys are, the foreign keys, and everything like that. So there's a lot of concepts that you need to understand before you actually dive into the world of data modeling and data warehousing for that matter. So when it comes to creating your own data model, creating your own structure, there's a bunch of ways to go about it. And users are often confused, meaning that, you know, they might have an existing database that they want to use as a starting point to build their data model from scratch. They might want to add the tables or the entities for that matter, or the relationships from absolutely nothing. So having an agentic, you know, chatbot at your disposal gives you this kind of advantage where, you know, you just state your motivation as a starting point, and then the chat just guides you as to what exactly you need to do to be able to achieve your goals. So for example, as I mentioned, you know, you might have a situation where you have a postman collection for an API, and you want to build a data model corresponding to that. So all you would need to do, the LLM is actually smart enough to take that postman collection, break it down into multiple pieces, identify the different tables, the different attributes, how they need to be connected to each other, and build that data model from absolutely nothing. You might have a database connection that you just tell the agent that you want to use this particular database connection to fetch the metadata, and that is something the tool is already capable of. It's able to establish that connection to the database that you want to connect to, and it will get the information, it will build the model for you. All you need to do is give a command to your agent itself. Moving towards more complex concepts like building a star schema, or having a data warehouse ready to be deployed or forward engineered for that matter, having it available within a physical database. Again, this is a concept. These are a bunch of concepts that not a lot of people are aware of. and having those sub agents that will again guide you in terms of marking your fact tables, marking your dimension tables, being able to add your surrogate keys, and I could go on for a very long time, because the world of data modeling and data warehousing is quite broad.
Yeah.
But again, having this kind of chatbot at your disposal will give you the ability to get started without having an extensive background or extensive bits and pieces of information on what exactly to do. So you have a much better starting point.
Like I'm in the data management for quite some time now,
Yeah.
but even I find creating data warehouse or data models slightly,
Trust me, I do as well. Yeah.
yeah, a slightly trickier topic to delve into. And I think one of the reasons, it's not just LLMs, I would say, one of the reasons why we have been so successful in creating these, a major reason of that are the MCPs, the model context protocols. I don't think that if the MCPs were not there, we would have had the kind of agents, the way they function efficiently, we would have them had those today.
Yeah, having that layer absolutely helps, because obviously you need to break it down into a bunch of different tasks that you may need to perform as part of a data modeling environment. You may need to add new entities, you may need to create new relationships, you may need to transform a model into another type of model entirely, whether it's a data vault or a dimensional model. So having different MCPs that are able to recognize what your need is and they're able to perform the tasks for you, that gives you a huge advantage, and you're able to do everything you were doing beforehand with either traditional means, such as having SQL scripts and stuff like that, or even a graphical user interface. This changes the game entirely. You're able to do it with just a few natural language queries.
You've worked with the customers as well, right? Who have used data models and data warehouse. So consider that the time that they have, it took them previously, of course, to build those or to get into that domain of building a data model within our tool. And consider the functionality we had and now what we have today. What do you think, what would be the impact that those customer existing as well as the future ones have with this technology?
That's a great question, Ayesha. What I've seen is that you need to have an entire plan of action. You need to spend at least a few weeks deciding what exactly you need to do with your data. And having an LLM that already is able to read your metadata, understand it really well, and give you that action plan, again saves you a lot of time and a lot of resources that would again put in a lot of effort into identifying what exactly needs to be done in order to achieve the kind of goals you want to achieve with your reporting and analysis and all of that. So having the ability to bypass that entire step of the process, plus having the ability to use the LLM to perform the tasks for you, I think it brings down the entire process from a few weeks or a few months to maybe a few days or even a few hours if your star schema is not that complicated. But yeah, it gives you a big advantage because you're saving on a lot of time, because the LLM is actually a helper that has the context already.
I think it's really powerful that you don't need to technically expose your data. Our tool just picks up the context and the metadata, and it just sends that to the LLM. So this was maybe a gripe I had with some other tools, that I had to put in my databases, my sheets and everything, and there wasn't technically much information on what the LLM was doing with my data. So I had that concern. But I think with our tool, that's a very good plus point and something that reassures me that my data is safe, and whatever the LLM is using is kind of additional information, and it can use that. It can then maybe execute that schema, it can design things, it can help me with the entirety of the process, but giving me the surety that it's not accessing my data.
Absolutely. You can think of the agent as a layer on top of our existing functionality, because our functionality has been around for a while now. It's been evolving quite a bit, and you were already able to do everything that I just said, creating your model and all of that stuff. You could already do it from within the graphical user interface. But just having that chatbot, it acts as a layer on top of all of that, and you can already use the evolved capabilities in a much better and much easier way.
I mean, the thing that he's talking about, specifically about the data security, right? That's one of the concerns. I think one of the reasons why we have it down and always in our head at all times when we're building the product, is because we've been working with those customers, with those industries like the financial industry and the mortgage, the insurance industry, which have very strict rules around data compliance. And because we work with those customers, we know that if you're building a tool that has access to these LLMs that are cloud-based LLMs, we need to make sure what kind of data we're sending, even if we're using, let's say for example, in case of OpenAI, they have enterprise APIs, and they do of course have that aspect that, hey, we're GDPR compliant, and I'm pretty sure they are. But even then, some of our customers, they sometimes have that ambiguity, like we do not want to send our data. And I think because of that, precisely, we have always had this in the corner of our heads that whatever we're building, whatever we're doing with AI, we just need to be compliant. Let's just not send the data at all, so that we can at least assure the customers from our end that, hey, don't worry, we can at least give you that assurance that we're not sending any of your data out, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, so now converging, the data extraction, the data preparation part and the data modeling part, let's also talk about the data flows and workflows. I mean, they have been the central component in almost all our tools, whether we talk about data modeling tool, whether we talk about the report miner tool. The data flows and workflows are the central component. They're used almost in every data management pipeline that I can think of, that our customers are currently using. And I think integrating AI or creating AI agents for those tools, I think that has been our biggest milestone so far. It was a tricky thing to start off with, definitely, because because there is so much functionality in the data flows and workflows. So that was definitely a tricky start, but I think we've been able to do a pretty good job with it. In fact, recently I was building a use case where I wanted to build an elaborate use case for one of our mortgage customers. It's a UK mortgage house, right? And they have a quite elaborative workflow, and we have been trying to replicate that workflow via the AI agent. We're saying that, okay, we built this manually and that took us a lot of time. Can we now use the AI agent to create a similar kind of workflow? And that experiment has been very, very successful. Again, sometimes it feels like magic, because we've been in this industry for so long and we've spent hours and hours and sometimes weeks to no end to building these kind of processes. But now using these agents and MCPs in particular, being able to do that in a matter of at times even minutes, that's quite a tremendous thing.
I mean, when I joined this company, I certainly never thought that I'd just be able to tell my chat agent that, hey, I want to build this ETL pipeline, I want these sources, here's my connections, do these transformations, maybe filter out this data, combine all of this and put it into this destination database. But now I can. It just takes me like maybe 4 lines, 5 lines of explaining what I'm trying to do, and the LLM can figure everything out and it can make that entire ETL pipeline for me. And again, when I joined the company, that used to take me hours. Now it just takes me 5 sentences and maybe like 5 minutes for the LLM to execute everything. So it certainly is very bizarre to think about.
Customer solutions team is definitely thankful to us for that. We've shortened their time during the demos as well as the POCs, which takes us generally a lot of time to shorten that, as well as not just the time but also the effort that comes with it.
And also, I feel like the LLMs, you don't need to spell everything out to them. Even if you're able to gather a list of requirements from the customers in a very generic sense, and you give it to the chatbot, it will automatically figure out that these are the sources, these are the transformations, these are the destinations I need to work with, and it builds out the entire pipeline for you. And again, as you mentioned, it sort of feels like magic sometimes. You're able to just spell out what you need, and it just spits it out for you.
Yeah. And now we're creating like a master agent that orchestrates all of this. So in general, in real case scenarios, it's not just we're not just building a data flow on its own, an isolated data flow, right, or an isolated data model or an isolated data prep script. We're basically building the entire data management pipelines. So what we are currently working on is that master agent that can actually discern whether it needs to go into the workflows or the data flows or data prep components or data models for that matter, and basically create the entire projects just using the AI agents. I feel like it's a bit ambitious project, but it's not far-fetched for sure.
I mean, these things work really well with each other. When you talk just about data modeling, there's no point in creating a data model if you don't have a bunch of data flows to go with it to actually get your data to the database that you're creating with that data model. So having these components interact with each other in that way is going to be extremely helpful because you need to get from one end to the other, and having all of these modules involved will enable you to do that.
And not only building those flows, right? Automating the entire process.
Yep.
Just talk to the agent, tell it I want it to run weekly or monthly, and it just does that for you.
Yeah, I'm quite excited to basically take this into the market and see what the response is, right? And because so far the users have been doing almost everything. It's point and click. It's no code. That itself is a huge, of course, gives a huge edge in reducing the time and the effort. But now you're saying that hey, you just need to write in natural language and that's it. It does the job. So I am actually looking forward to how market reacts to our agents, because so far internally there has been a lot of I guess optimism around it.
Alright, to sum up everything we've talked about, Agentic AI is changing the way we interact with tools such as Astera. And the tool itself has been around for over a decade now, and it's already tried and tested. The functionalities have been around for a while, and enterprises have used it to build their own data ecosystems from top to bottom. But getting from that point where you have a data ecosystem prepared has become a lot easier, because having a chatbot in front of you that you can give your natural language queries to and having it spit out the final results to you is something that makes life a lot easier. So
yeah, and I think the adoption part, I think one of the major benefits that we're talking about here is that technical wall that almost every new user, every new prospect has faced, that either because they're switching from an existing tool or because they've never used a tool like that. So I guess that adoption, that is one of the major benefits that I see with these agents in place.
And even for existing customers, it just saves them time and effort.
That's a derivative that we're seeing. So yeah.
And I think that's all we had for today. Thank you for joining us. See you guys next time.